speaker today is representing the Transportation Systems Career Cluster. People in these occupations move people and products by road, air, rail, or water. They may repair and maintain the vehicles, trains, planes, and ships to keep people and products moving. Please welcome Mike Montgomery, Columbus Equipment.
Thank you guys for coming today and showing an interest in heavy equipment. How many of you guys had a sandbox when you was a kid and played with Tonka toys and that kind of stuff? Well, these machines turns the whole world into a great big sandbox and you get to play in all the time. So, you know, it's a pretty cool industry to get into if that's the kind of thing you're interested in. I started with Columbus Equipment 18 years ago, and before that I worked in a coal mine here locally, and I've worked on, you know, I always was interested in how things work. You know, I'd see something and I'd want to take it apart and see how it worked and put it back together. So, you know, if that's the kind of thing that interests you, then this is the perfect industry working on this equipment, because there is so much technology in this stuff today, it's unbelievable. We'll go ahead and start the video and I'll just talk while we're on. Here's machines that, you know, Columbus Equipment's a Komatsu dealer in Ohio. Has anybody heard of Komatsu before? Yeah, that's what I thought. Who's heard of Caterpillar? Yeah, virtually everybody. Well, just think of Ford and Chevrolet. It's the same reference, you know. They both build the same thing. It's just one thing. Komatsu is actually the second largest equipment manufacturer in the world. And so, you know, we build all kinds of earth-moving equipment and other things.
Every other manufacturer here, they'll bring out their equivalent size machines.
Just,
we'll run it.
if you're interested in
My operators
either being an operator and running this equipment or working on this equipment, there is so many opportunities out there for that. And it's really, you can get into this field in a lot of different ways. You know, we hire guys and people right out of high school and they become trainees and working in the shops, or you can go to a secondary school, like a technical school, and get a degree in diesel technology or agriculture, some different things like that. And then these are just machines, they're just like farm equipment, other than they're doing a different purpose. You know, I tell people all the time, it's a diesel engine, a hydraulic system, an electrical system, and a power train. So same thing as a truck, all that is just a different application for all that. And so,
we're an industry
you know,
leader.
they can be pretty intimidating, so we want to make it less intimidating, because they are big machines. Some of these machines, and you know, I've worked on trucks that are half the size of this room, just 350-ton haul trucks, and then down to excavators will come to a 36-inch door and everything in between. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff out there and a lot of variety to it. Like I was saying, the technology in this stuff, there's more technology in this equipment today than there is in the automotive industry. There's machines out there that completely control themselves. All the operator does is sets in it and steers it. And like a dozer, that the blade is completely controlled, following GPS to a grade. And it's unbelievable the technology that's in this equipment.
On the older machines, you would hear the diesel engine going constantly, and neighbors would be affected, the neighborhoods would constantly be contacting their community.
Is there any questions right off the bat that lead the discussion a little bit?
Times are faster, skill is faster, the functions of the machine are faster, the operators.
Go ahead.
It's very responsive.
Here, hang on.
Toxins that go in the atmosphere.
How many hours a day do you work?
That's an interesting question, because when you're working on this stuff, my wife's in the medical field, and she's like, you know, there's not life or death here, but people, with this equipment believe that, when it's not running, it's costing a lot of money to the company. Downtime's what they refer to it. So, it's a different thing. Always work 8 hours a day, but there's some days that you'll work 12 or 14 hours if you've got a machine broken down and you have to get it going. So, it's always 8 hours a day, but sometimes more.
Does your attendance matter?
Absolutely. Everybody, in virtually every field, attendance matters because, again, like I said, it's unbelievable, the cost of some of this stuff and then the cost when it's not running. And so if they're depending on you to be there to either be the operator for it or to work on it and keep it running, that's, it's very important to be there on time and ready to go and be there, every day you're supposed to be there.
How are you evaluated?
Well, we all work for somebody, and so our bosses evaluate us, but mostly in this field, I think you're evaluated by your performance more so than some others because, it's pretty evident whenever you, the amount of time it takes you to perform a task or a job. And, again, like I was saying earlier, when these machines aren't running, it's really expensive for somebody. And so, the quicker you can do a job and the most efficient that you can do a job, do it once rather than do it wrong the first time and have to come back and do it again is how we are evaluated. It's really just all about your performance, yes.
Did you already say what area you were?
No, I did not. I work for Columbus Equipment Company, and we are the Komatsu distributor for the state of Ohio. We have 10 locations in Ohio, and so any Komatsu machine sold in Ohio would come from us. And you'll see them all over on highway jobs, on road jobs, or construction sites. They're all over the place, but we are the only Komatsu dealer in Ohio. There's other things we handle also, like, if you see these great big cranes, we're the link belt crane dealer in Ohio also. So all the link belt cranes which you see will come from us. Or the Road Tech dealer for paving and milling stuff on, the asphalt pavers. We have a whole division, and we call it an environmental division with Komatsu Forest for the forestry stuff, these feller bunchers that cut down trees and harvest, a lot of trees. And then also more bark for these chippers. They're all over the place. So, there's a lot of stuff that we handle. Just about anything that moves dirt or works in the forestry industry or lifts things with cranes, we have stuff for that.
Have you talked about like college, like what kind of degree, what kind of training?
That's the best path to advance faster is to go to like a secondary school, a 2-year degree in like diesel technology, because all these machines have a diesel engine. So whether it's a crane or an excavator or a bulldozer or a truck or the paving stuff or any of it, they've all got a diesel engine. So that's really the best place to start with your education, is with like a diesel technology and learn that in a secondary, but that's a 2-year degree that gets you a good start. And like I say, there are some opportunities of right out of high school of going to work as a helper in a shop. and then just learning that way, and you know, a lot of people have done it that way also. Like I said, with that secondary degree, a technical degree, you do advance faster because that's a quick head start into the industry. But there are no real 4-year degrees for what we do. It's just a 2-year degree, and a technical school is the quickest start to it.
Do you guys go out of the state or anything for trainings?
The way we work with Columbus Equipment, Komatsu has a training facility in Cartersville, North Carolina, or Cartersville, Georgia. It's just north of Atlanta. And I go down there 8 or 10 times a year with anytime anything new comes out with Komatsu. I go down and I get trained, and then I come back and hold classes for all of our technicians at our branches. I have a classroom in Columbus by my office that I hold classes in all the time to keep our technicians up to date on all the technologies and all the new things in the machine. So, I tell guys all the time that every day you learn something in this industry. The day you didn't learn anything is the day you didn't do anything. So, it really is a lot of technology, and every day is a learning experience. You learn how to do your job better and quicker, or a new aspect of it every day. It's continually learning.
Are your employees drug tested?
Yes, they are. With the company I work for, there's pre-employment drug tests that are screening that everybody has to do before you're hired. And then we have service trucks that are out on the road, so everybody that works for us is subject to DOT random testing. So, you never know when your name's going to be drawn that month to go on a random drug test. So yes, we are drug tested continually.
And if you're in a car accident while you're on the job, how do you guys handle that?
Any accident in a vehicle, or even not in a vehicle, if you're just hurt on the job, you're required to be drug tested. Immediately after that accident. So, along with the random, anytime there's an accident of any kind, if you smash your finger or cut yourself, and it requires going to the doctor, you're going to be drug tested also at that time. Because, it's all about safety, and it is a dangerous job. This equipment, right now there's a guy talking, but you've seen all this equipment on this screen. It's big. And, you have to be very careful around it because it can hurt you, and you can hurt other people, around. So you got to pay a lot of attention when you're around this equipment. But, it's just a safety thing. You don't want somebody that's impaired by drugs running this thing or working on it around, other people, because it's not just putting them in danger, it's putting other people in danger also.
Do you work year-round?
Yes, we do work year-round. There's some aspects of our business that's seasonal, like, you see them paving in warm weather and they don't pave highways in colder weather. But for our part of it, it just changes. They do required maintenance and preventative maintenance stuff when they're working. But in the winter, when they're not paving, we'll do machine rebuilds to prepare that machine for the next season. And, in quarries and all different stuff, it's the same thing. It's a little seasonal with the weather, but for what we do, it just changes us from being that fireman that's going out fixing a breakdown to doing preventative repairs to prepare it for the next season. So we are really steady year-round.
So regardless of how cold it is,
That's
you're out there.
absolutely. regardless of how cold or wet or what, and, you know, we've got guys out there working in it, yes. So that's the other thing that you gotta like. I mean, but there's two different sides to it, because we've got jobs working in a shop where you're always in that environment, and that's usually a 40-hour-a-week job, you know, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You just go to a shop and work just in a garage. And then we've got guys in these trucks. It's, you know, these machines, a lot of them are too big to bring back to that shop for every repair. So we have to go to them out in the field or on the job sites. And those guys are, you know, they got to work on in whatever the conditions whenever they get there. So, and we have around 80 mechanics or technicians, and 50 some of them are in trucks on the road. So, you know, there's more jobs there than there are in the shops, because when the road guys don't have a job in the field, they still work in the shops. So, you know, they stay busy all the time.
Do you, like, how fast can one of those machines go?
It really depends on the machine, because, you know, you've seen some on tracks and you've seen some on tires, and some of the, like the wheel loader here we're looking at now, it'll go about 20, 25 mile an hour. The haul trucks will go 45 to 50 mile an hour. The machines on tracks will go 5 to 10 mile an hour. So, you know, it's pretty broad range, but some of them are, you know, when you've got a truck the size of this room that's running 50 mile an hour, that's huge, you know, but so it varies a lot depending on the machine.
Is attitude important in this career?
Absolutely. I do career fairs and do hiring for our company. And one of the things that, you know, that's a question, I get the question all the time, what are you looking for in the people you hire? And my answer is always attitude is number one. Because you have to have the right attitude, you have to be willing to learn, and, you know, we can teach you to work on this stuff, but we can't fix a bad attitude. And so attitude is the number one thing I look at when hiring guys for our field. I say guys, but there's ladies in our field also, so forgive me for saying that.
How does your social media affect your job?
Again, I do recruiting, and when there's a candidate to look at, you know, that you're looking at, and you've got multiple candidates and you can only hire one, then you look into that social media. You look into their social media to see, you know, it's easy to have an attitude in an hour interview, but that social media is showing the world what your attitude is outside of that situation. So it is very important, and a lot of people that are doing hiring in every field is looking at that social media stuff today to see what you really like outside of that interview that you did.
Are there steps at your job for a promotion?
Absolutely. I started like 18 years ago with Clumps Equipment as a field mechanic, technician. I moved into being a trainer. I train our mechanics or technicians now, teach them how to work on all the stuff that we do. We've got guys that become service managers or product support representatives or salesmen. There's a lot of, you know, in our industry we hire and promote within. So, you know, starting out in the parts department or on a steam dock washing equipment, they're entry-level jobs, and they learn the industry and learn the machines and can progress, you know, the sky's the limit, really. There's a lot of promotion internally.
What is your least favorite part of your job?
Working in the bad weather, okay? That would be the least favorite part, because I really enjoy working on machines, and, you know, it was always a challenge not to let a machine beat me, you know, to never seen a machine that I couldn't fix. So the weather is the least favorite part.
Do you have holidays or weekends off?
Yes, we have, you know, all the holidays. Weekends are kind of subjective. We almost always have Sunday off. I mean, our company has a policy that working Sunday requires the president of the company approving it, because, you know, they're a family-owned company and they want you to have some time with your family, and, you know, it's got to be a really serious situation for us to have to work a Sunday. But we do work some Saturdays, you know, depending on the job. So, and then all the major holidays, our mechanics, our shops are, they're members of the operating engineers, and so it's you know, it is a union job, and so all of the major holidays and stuff are paid days off.
Is it difficult to find a job as a professor?
Not really. There's always openings for mechanics around, you know, in today's environment. There's a larger need than there is a supply of guys, people wanting to get into this field. And so that's part of why I say there is all kinds of opportunities here. For starting right out of high school to going to a secondary school, a technical school, and getting a diesel degree or something like that, that's going to progress you even faster. We did a program that we hired right out of a technical school, like a Northwestern up in Lima has a really good program. There's an Owens College in Toledo that has a really good program. There's a Nashville Diesel College that has a really good, you know, these are 18 months to 2 years programs. And then we have a program internally where we would hire 4 to 6 people out of one of these schools a year, and I would spend a year in intensive training with them. I would have them for 2 weeks out of every month, and the other 2 weeks we would assign them to one of our senior field guys where they were getting real world experience. And, you know, we were needing people to put in these service trucks and go out and work. And the program worked so well, what used to take 6, 8, 10 years for a person just working in the shop, learning the job, we were getting them in a service truck and on their own in 2 years. And they were some of our best technicians out in the field because we, you know, spent a lot of effort in training them, and, you know, it was really successful. So there's a lot of opportunities, you know, like I say, starting from, you can hire on as a trainee or working on a steam dock washing equipment to getting that 2-year degree, and you're going to progress a lot faster.
What's the best part about your job?
For me, it was always the satisfaction of fixing something that other people couldn't.
What advice do you have for us?
I guess the advice I would give to anybody would be, you know, whatever you choose to do, do it to the best of your ability. You know, give it all you've got. Do your very best job at whatever you choose to do, and you'll be successful.
What is the average salary of a starter?
Again, it's a union shop, so that's kind of a fixed wages negotiated every 3 years in a contract. And our trainee hiring in is 19 something right now. And then it goes up to like $32 an hour for the guys in those trucks in the field.
What's the punishment for drinking and eating
Legally, or, I mean, that's a different question. Legally, it's the same as in a vehicle. So, you know, if it's the police or, you know, law enforcement that catches it, it's DUI, just like driving a car.
Do you mean just drinking regular? You mean like lunch or what?
No, drinking alcohol.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Like through your job, not legally, but just like through your job.
It's not permitted, okay? Because that's the same as drugs. It impairs you. And, you know, the safety aspect of it and the liabilities of, you know, on the company of an individual being impaired in the job, it's not acceptable.
Why did you choose the job you did?
When I was your age, I always, you know, if I would see anything, I'd want to take it apart and see how it worked and put it back together and make it work again. That's just what, you know, what interested me. And then being around equipment, it was just, like I say, great big Tonka toys. And it just really, it's what really interested me. And I love to see how things work and understand what makes them do what they do. Anybody else?